Now, detectives have recently discovered thousands of pounds worth of valuable treasures that have been stolen from churches up and down the country.
And now, as Dan Donnelly reports, they're trying to return paintings, statues and even Bibles to their rightful owners.
Britain's churches aren't just the guardians of our spiritual well-being, they're also safeguarding valuable collections of antiques and artworks.
And with their doors open to all comers, they can be a prime target for thieves looking to get their hands on those treasures.
The Holy Trinity Church has stood at the heart of Torbryan in Devon since the 15th century. Local historian John Marsh is here to show me its greatest treasure.
This is probably the best example in the country of a medieval Rood screen. The paintings there of 40 different saints. They might be portrayed with an angel or with an animal or carrying a sword.
It's one of the few such screens to have survived the purge of Catholic images in the Reformation.
I've never seen anything like this. How rare is it?
In the time of the Reformation, in the 1530s and 1540s, when the government decided that images like this should be destroyed, that it somehow or other survived. For that reason, it's of great historical significance.
But a break-in 2 years ago left the screen badly damaged.
So what's happened here?
Well, this is where the thieves came in and stole 2 of the panels, and they damaged the 3rd panel, as you can see there. They were just hacked out in a kind of crude way. It's just wanton destruction. It's almost as if, you know, this is part of our culture and you've just sort of ripped it out.
The break-in left locals like the Reverend Peter Ashman and parishioner Emma Heaver outraged.
People were really devastated by it. They feel that the church has been desecrated.
We took it all quite personally, that someone had the gall to come into the church and sort of hack away at these beautiful pieces of art.
The attack on the Torbryan panels is just one of hundreds of thefts from our churches every year, feeding a black market appetite for stolen antiques. 2 years ago, a police team was set up to recover stolen church artefacts under Detective Inspector Martin Barnes.
There is approximately 1,000 crimes reported from churches every year. It's the inquiry team's belief that this is an organised criminal enterprise targeting rural churches up and down the length of the country.
So far, 70 items sold onto the black market for around £200,000 have been recovered. Now police are looking to return them to their rightful owners.
Of those 70 items, 14 have been recovered to the place that they've come from, and the remainder are part of an ongoing investigation to try and trace the owners.
And look what's turned up among the haul of goods. That's right, it's the long-lost Torbryan panels.
They're back. It's absolutely fantastic.
They were seized from a London-based art collector, but are now being restored by the healing hands of conservationist Dr. Neil Rushton in Bristol.
We will take these to Conservation Workshop just for a full assessment to make sure they're okay, and then these 2 panels will be very, very carefully, under the supervision of a conservator, put back into the screen where they belong. The damaged panel will take more conservation. We're thinking around about £7,000 is probably about the cost to do that.
It's hoped public fundraising will help the church's conservation trust meet that cost. The trust looks after 347 historic places of worship. Chief Executive Crispin Truman is adamant church doors must stay open.
The temptation must be to shut up shop, lock everything away.
When there's been a theft, then people not unnaturally become very worried and want to lock everything away. But locking the door doesn't solve the problem. It often gives the impression that the building is no longer used, whereas an open building, an open church, tends to attract more legitimate visitors and volunteers, and it gives the message that people care about and look after this building, which I think is a better protection in the long run.
And back at Torbryan, having survived the worst of the Reformation, the church has a new alarm system to deter future attacks on that precious screen.
Thanks, Dan. Well, DI Martin Barnes from West Mercia Police is here, and we're surrounded by artefacts that have been stolen and recently recovered by Martin and his team. And hopefully you at home will recognise something so that we can return them to their rightful owners. So the first question, are you any closer to finding the culprits then?
The inquiry is moving forward. Even this morning we interviewed somebody who has been able to identify some of the items that they've been involved in the theft of. So,
right.
You know, the aim is that that closes the gap that we're looking down geographically.
OK. Well, let's talk about the artefacts, because they are beautiful, aren't they? Especially the stained glass window here. And this is very, very old, isn't it?
It is. We've got experts working with us on the inquiry, and what we know about this piece is that the top crown is actually a crown of Henry VIII.
Right.
The roses on the side would dictate or indicate that it comes from perhaps the north of England, and there's some detail down the side that I'm sure if anybody looks at they'll recognise straight away. So we believe this piece, Henry VIII's time, north of England, stolen perhaps from a presentation.
OK, and how valuable then do you think a piece like this would be?
Like all of these items, it's really difficult to give a price, but our experts say some of the items we've recovered are priceless. On a good day at auction with the right provenance, which is the history which these very clever thieves are providing with them, you're talking sort of hundreds to, you know,
right.
more thousands
so they
of
knew
pounds.
what they were looking for.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
and the price increases as it goes through the hands of the thief to the dealer to the auction house.
Right, and indeed this one here, this wooden boss you called this, wasn't it?
Indeed, yeah.
$500,000, you reckon?
Well, on a good day in the right auction house, you can write your own cheque. This is, we believe, either from France or from a church which has got a very heavy Norman influence, probably from 1066 onwards. It's been looked at by the experts. They have given it a priceless figure. So
wow.
with the right history in the right auction house, you know, that's a lot of money involved in this.
Absolutely. Well, to see our photo gallery of all the items D.I. Barnes and his team have recovered, details of what to do if you think you know the rightful owners are on our website. Just follow the link there.
Martin, can I just ask, all those artefacts that aren't claimed, what happens to those?
Anything that's not claimed will either go to the Church Conservation Trust or to local museums in areas that we think the items have originally come from.
Great. Right. Thanks ever so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Isn't it sad when churches have to have alarm systems these days?